Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to this week's Countryside. I'm Kirree Kermode.
And I'm Simon Clark. This week I catch up with Adam Quayle, the Facilities and Garden Manager at Milntown Estate, to find out about a prestigious award they've just received. And also I catch up with Tim Baker MHK to find out more about the damage caused to the hillsides round the constituency of Michael.
And I popped along to a family variety concert, Relatively Talented.
But first, on a serious note, Kirree, I think it's right to mention some more irresponsible dog owners, I think, around the Isle of Man, being allowed their dogs to get out of control, and more sheep have sadly lost their lives, and farmers have lost, future profits because of it.
Yeah, very, very sad times indeed, Simon. But it always seems to be this time of year. I don't know whether the spring is in the air or what it seems to be, but the ewes are heavily pregnant, and we must stress that dogs have to be kept on leads in the countryside. And it doesn't matter whether they're pregnant or not. They really, really do get frightened by fast-moving dogs in the fields, and farmers have the right to shoot them if they catch them in the act of worrying. So please, please keep your dogs on the leads.
Yes, and one of the things as well, it's not just the fact that, they're getting bitten and mauled. It's the fact that they chase them around when they're pregnant, isn't it? And it can cause them to abort the lambs and things like that, which seems to people that it's not done any harm, but it can.
That's right. It's the untold damage and the stress on the sheep. And like you say, for a mother to go through an abortion like that, it's all the hormones and everything that comes with giving birth, and then to have that result is absolutely soul destroying, not only for the farmer but for that sheep.
Indeed. So please follow the country codes and keep an eye on your dogs. Well, some more damage has been caused to some of the upland hill areas of the Isle of Man, away this time from the Greenway roads and the tracks that the motorcyclists and Greenway users are supposed to be using. To find out more about this damage in the constituency of Kirk Michael, I caught up with MHK for the area, Tim Baker. Well, Tim Baker, it's we have 3 or 4 hats on for this trouble that's caused, but it's a pretty serious matter, and a lot of people have got involved, seen the pictures that the damage has been caused. Is there any sort of light on it, first of all?
To be honest, Simon, I know nothing more in terms of the detail than is in the public domain in terms of who's done this, but clearly it is a very serious issue, and I know the police and DEFRA are extremely perturbed by what's gone on, and it's clearly unacceptable. The pictures really show a lot of damage in a very sensitive area of the uplands, and of course the peat areas of the island very front of mind at the moment with the climate change agenda and the carbon capture that they do naturally. So it's really disappointing to see this in my constituency and from the various departments that are involved in point of view as well.
Well, you look at it, I mean, in the past there's been talk and I suppose negotiations, and things have been fairly quiet. There seems to be an agreement with everyone, the top of Sky Hill, all them Greenway roads, but of course this has happened on a non-Greenway area where people aren't supposed to be, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, there are some very progressive and collaborative arrangements around the Green Lanes with the Green Lane User Group, working with closely with DOI and other agencies, very much to manage the whole use of the Green Lanes and to also maintain and remediate them. And I know the ACU trials officers very keen to make sure everything's done properly. This is completely the other end of the spectrum. This is in an area where people should not have been taking that activity, and there's no, as far as I can see, there's no defence to what they've done. And there's some. It's a shame because there are some very, very responsible people here who legitimately want to use the natural resources that we've got in the island in the right manner, and unfortunately everybody gets tarred by the same brush here.
On the other side of it, from the off-road motorcyclist point of view, is there enough areas where they can go safely without disturbing anyone? Of course, years ago there was probably less restrictions and people were spread out all over the place, where now I suppose you could look at that they're congregated more in the one spot, more noise maybe, which causes more people to complain.
It's a difficult balancing act, Simon. I mean, I believe there are plenty of places where people can legitimately undertake this activity, and it's absolutely clear that they should not be doing it in environmentally sensitive areas such as this. And my discussions with people like the ACU trials officers and the Green Lane people have been very, very constructive, and certainly they're looking to make the most of those facilities. Clearly, there's lots of competing interests. There's bikes, there's walkers, there's horse riders, there's mountain bikers, and what we have to do is find a way of everybody using the nature in the right way, because it is one of the most attractive parts of the island, and something that also attracts people to the island from elsewhere. And
that's, I suppose, one of the things that the locals will defend it, saying we abide by all the rules. People maybe who are coming over from away on these weekend trips, I'm not putting the blame entirely on them, but that's where it could lie. But is it just ignorance or just lack of knowledge?
Well, I don't know, but certainly there is an attractiveness of the Isle of Man to people coming from across, and we do know that organised groups do come over to the island to legitimately use what the island has to offer. So I don't know whether this was off-island riders. It may well be, but somebody's bringing them over, and it's the job of those who are involved to make sure that they are properly advised as to where they can go and where they shouldn't go. And I do know that the ACU, for example, when they're involved in groups coming over, organise locals to actually guide some of these groups. So there is some very responsible organisation around this, but this clearly isn't that. And I haven't got any evidence to say who it was or in what circumstances, but it has to stop, because it's going to spoil things for everybody. And we've seen in other areas of the UK, national parks, etc., them becoming much more restrictive on people using those areas of countryside for motorcycling, etc. And we want to avoid having to become too restrictive, because motorcycling and outdoor activities are very much in the culture of the island.
Yes, we've had some great success in the past. Is the area concerned very far off the legitimate tracks that people are supposed to be using?
Well, I mean, clearly, looking at the pictures, it's an area where there doesn't appear to be any legitimate reason to be up there, and as far as I'm aware, it's very much away from the legitimate path. I don't think this has happened by accident. This is people riding irresponsibly in an area where they're just not supposed to be. And
are the Isle of Man Constabulary involved in this? They know about it.
They do, absolutely, and they're taking it very seriously, because there's the whole environmental issue. There's also the effect on wildlife as well, and the police are very much engaged with us. Yeah,
but maybe it's time for another gathering to get everyone together and see what the DEFA side of it, the Constabulary, and the Isle of Man Greenway road users, who obviously don't want this sort of thing to stop.
I think the thing is, you gather everybody together, but they're the people who are behaving legitimately and responsibly, and you're almost preaching to the converted there. It's the people who are not being responsible that probably wouldn't come to that sort of gathering, and they're probably not engaged with any of those groups. I do genuinely believe that the groups you've mentioned are all singing from the same hymn sheet on this. But we do need to make sure it stops, because if it doesn't stop, it's going to ruin things for everybody.
Tim Baker MHK talking about the damage to Slough Dhu, I think it was, up on the hill there, alleged by motorcyclists. So no nearer catching the culprits, but it's an irresponsible thing, isn't it?
It really is disappointing, because there is set out areas for people to go and do whatever they feel they need to do on their motorbikes, whether it's practice and training or just having a bit of fun. There are designated areas for it, so this really is out of order. Yeah,
but I think you feel a little bit sorry for some of them. They're struggling to find places, I think, to get out on enduro bikes. There is plenty, as we said, the Greenway roads, but maybe it's just, You never know who's going to be, who's coming over either, do you? That's
the trouble.
Anyway, you have been at a concert last weekend, Kirree?
I did. On Friday evening, I popped along to Loch Promenade Church Hall to the Relatively Talented concert, a family variety concert consisting of 3 generations of the Clague family. Now, this is the Crows, the Farragers and the Gellings, and it really was a fantastic night. I caught up with the organiser on the night, which was Graham Crow and his daughter Hayley, and what a brilliant night it was.
It's really nice. He's been championing this for a few months, and I was sort of hoping that he'd give up on it, to be honest with you. But most of the people that were performing, they were all saying, oh, well, he's been leaning on me a little bit, he's been persuading me, there'll be a few deals done along the line. I'm hoping for a few babysitting tokens for having performed here this evening. But yeah, it was just a really nice event to bring all of our family together as well. And the audience seemed to really enjoy it.
And did you expect this turnout, Hayley? It's huge.
No, I've been giving him loads of stick about that too, because he said he booked this venue and said it held, possibly up to 200 people. So why on earth would you do that? Why didn't you just book somewhere small for 25 or 30 people or something like that? But blown away by the turnout this evening, to be honest with you. It's really, really nice, and everybody was so supportive in the audience. There's a lot of us performing for the first time. I've never sung in public with my dad before, ever.
And what is that like, Hayley, to sing with the Cleveland medal winner? Pressure.
Nerve-wracking. It wasn't good, but the audience are all hoping that you're going to do really well. They're really looking forward to hearing what you're going to do, and it was just really lovely, really nice atmosphere to do it. I'm not going to say I'm going to do it again, but it wasn't as bad as what I thought.
I don't think you're going to get away with it again, though, really, because there's so many people, like you say, enjoyed tonight, and this is what we want to do at the weekends. We want to get out and enjoy events like this, because they're very few and far between.
They are. It's quite traditional, isn't it, really? It wasn't really what I thought I would be doing on a Friday evening, but when my dad talked so fondly of, that's what they used to do in their family when they were growing up. I mean, it was a different world back then, but it's quite nice to do something quite traditional and different, and I think everybody that's been here has sort of had fond memories of a previous life and previous world, if you like. Especially at the end, we had a bit of a sing-along. Everybody in the audience was singing along, and then I think everybody was slightly disappointed that there maybe wasn't a few more songs just to finish, and it was just nice.
Well, isn't it nice though, Hayley, that kind of links in with the charity as well, with I'll Listen, where young people are really struggling, and social media, sitting in front of screens, is a huge part of life now. Something like this, maybe prevents something like that.
It's so important. When I was the secretary of the federation, I was on it all the time. Anytime that I spoke to people, saying it's the best thing about the young farmers is that it's a great opportunity to get out and meet people, not just sit behind a screen. And it's so important for young people today to be out and about and doing things. And through all ages of life as well. It's so easy in this world that we live in to just sit at home, look on the internet, feel like you're connected with people through your phone. But just to get here tonight, everybody's had a cup of tea at the end and a chat, and it is quite old-fashioned, but I think it'd be nice to see the world a little bit more like this. Maybe not our family performing, but just an excuse to get together, get everybody rounded up, but get together and spend some time with real people.
Graham Crow, our fantastic evening here on Douglas Prom. Relatively talented, wow, that's an understatement.
Yeah, really pleased. The evening seemed to go off well. We got a nice crowd in, maybe a few more than we thought, so the hall was pleasantly full.
It was packed.
And they were very, very good audience.
It was absolutely a brilliant night. It was just an idea, and it's transpired into this performance tonight.
Well, yes, we used to do family concerts when I was a kid, so I'm talking 60 years ago, different generations, my parents' generation, and as a youngster, I used to get wheeled in and basically coerced into performing, and sort of hated it at the time, but looking back, it didn't do you any harm. And
I think some of your children might say that tonight, though, Graham.
They might have been coerced, but it didn't work with all of them, but we got the most of them here, and it's good that we, out of the families, we got 3 generations here on the night, so maybe in future the focus would be on the younger ones instead of the oldies like it was this year.
No, it really is such a talented family, and like you say, it was the Clague clan.
Yes, well, I mean, you're a bit of a Clague yourself going back there, so, we might be able to drag you in for another year, yourself and Mum.
Might get my mother to do it,
well,
maybe.
You never know. Spread the net a little bit wider and all the family connections.
But it was lovely to see the Gellings, the Crows, the Cleggs all come together, and Chrissy Cannell there with the Manx dialect. It still brings it back to the Manx ways.
Well, yes, I think we had a good variety, from instrumental right through to the spoken word, and lots of singing in between. So yes, classical music, a bit of folk, a bit of other instrumental stuff. So yeah, good variety.
Like you said in the advertisement to tonight, Graham, it's a bit of the Guild, a bit of the Young Farmers, crossed with the Braid of Stedford maybe, and it really was. It was laugh a minute.
Well, it was sort of spontaneous, really. That was the idea. None of us we didn't have a rehearsal or anything, not collectively, but people did their own little bit of rehearsal maybe before they came and on a night or two. But generally speaking, I hadn't got a clue what some of them were going to get up and do, so there was no opportunity to censor anybody. So we just had to leave it and hope that their good taste was to the audience taste as well.
It really, really was. But it was lovely to see you, Graham, singing with both of your children on separate occasions. How does it feel for you there?
Singing with Neil in the Guild and winning the Milntown Rose Bowl last year was one of the proudest moments of my life, to be honest. And it's definitely up there alongside winning a Cleveland medal. So singing with your flesh and blood is sort of a unique bond, a unique blend of music as well. And it was lovely to sing as well with Hayley tonight. So I've only got Steve to go now, and I'll have the trio.
And I do believe Steve's got a very good voice.
Steve has, yeah. Well, Sue's got a great voice as well. She chooses not to do anything with it now, but then she's moved on to the flute. So
and tonight Sue playing the flute
Dave on the fiddle. Yeah, it was nice to see that happening as well. They've never performed apparently together either. So
I think this, Graham, has to come around again next year.
I think so. Yes, it's been a really good night. All the family have enjoyed it, and the audience enjoyed it. So why not?
Why not? And also the charity for tonight, Graham, I'll Listen. It really, really struck a chord with a few people in here.
I think so. Yes, it's a relatively new charity, and a lot of people haven't heard of it. But I think it's a wonderful work that they do. This early intervention with young people. If they can prevent problems, building up later in life for them, then it's got to be really well supported. And I'm delighted that we could support it tonight.
Many a postman has a friend, ping all day and my door.
Jess from I'll Listen, what a fabulous night we've had here on the promenade. What a really, really great, talented family. The Crows are doing it again for the Manx farming community, for the musical people on the Isle of Man, but for you as well, Jess, with I'll Listen, a brilliant charity.
Yes, it really is. And we're so grateful for the support of the likes of Graham and his extended family, who, with their incredible talent, have brought so many people here tonight, and all these people seem to be giving very generously into our bucket, I must say. But yeah, what a brilliant night of true Manx entertainment, and a lovely chance for us to talk about what we're doing, raise some awareness, and hopefully garner a little bit more support as well from more members of the community for I'll Listen.
Well, that is it. I'll Listen is only very new, I suppose you'd say. 1 year?
Well, we launched officially at the beginning of September and went into schools at that point. But it's actually been being developed really for the past 18 months under our umbrella charity, which is MCH Psychological Services. So I'll Listen is a project that sits within that charity. Our accredited professional team developed the framework, and since the beginning of September we've been present in 2 secondary schools offering listening services, and we are also available to provide assemblies, PSHE lessons and workshops covering a range of subjects that can affect young people's emotional well-being.
And do you think that's something that's here, Jess? Is the generations changing?
Absolutely. The challenges our young people face are very different even from what I faced when I was at school 30 years ago. That you can't avoid the fact that social media has an impact, sometimes positively, often negatively. There's an awful lot of pressure on young people now to succeed academically, socially. They must all seem to partake in lots of other extracurricular activities as well. It's just pressure all the time. And it can be very difficult for young people to manage. And so a big part of I'll Listen really is prevention work, equipping all young people with the skills to navigate their way through life successfully. And a lot of that is emotional resilience, but also our early intervention work, which takes the part of the listening services, really trying to make sure that young people are supported as early as possible so that low mood, low level anxiety, stress, things like that cannot escalate and become far more serious problems requiring escalation up to child and adolescent mental health services and the like.
And do you find since September, Jess, you've reeled it out in the schools, has it been successful?
Well, it really has. I mean, it's our pilot year, so it's slowly, and of course, everything, as with any charity, is subject to funding. So initially, as I say, we're in the 2 secondary schools, and with plans, obviously, over the coming months and years to roll that out across the island. And while it's very unfortunate that so many young people do need to seek our support, it's heartening to know that our listening service is having such a positive impact, and we have young people now who have had many sessions with their listeners, as we call them, and have come out the other end and feel stronger, more resilient, more able to cope with what life is throwing at them, because there are many and varied challenges, whether it's family life, relationships, schoolwork, friendships, you name it, every possible issue you can imagine, you know.
And can people get involved to help your side of it, Jess, to be a listener?
In terms of listening, we pride ourselves on our professionalism. So our Listen has been created by an accredited clinical team from MCH Psychological Services, and our listeners are very highly trained and require weekly supervision by our clinical lead. So in terms of volunteer listeners at this stage, that's not something we can actually facilitate. However, we have many opportunities for anybody who would like to fundraise for us and help raise awareness of what we do, because the sooner we can get that funding behind us and do more within the community and within our schools, the bigger the project grows, the more people we can help and support.
And it is fantastic tonight, the concert with the Crow family. But Young Farmers, Hayley has always been a great supporter. And when they did the tractor run, Hayley brought I'll Listen into that area as well.
She did, and what an incredible spectacle that was, and so supported. Wow, I know that there's a considerable sum coming towards I'll Listen from that event, and so many people have been speaking about it to me. They always say, oh my goodness, what an amazing event. Just wonderful to see, absolutely wonderful to see. And again, brilliant fundraising, but also raising awareness of what we're doing at I'll Listen as well. So we're so grateful to Hayley and everybody involved, we really are.
That was Jessica Mackey from I'll Listen, the charity for the evening, Hayley Crow and Graham Crow.
Sounded like a fabulous night, and this, they were saying there, it's just great to spur of the moment think, oh, well, let's get a concert on. People may not, something to do on the weekend, something different.
That's
get them away
right.
From the tellies.
That's exactly what Hayley was saying. And with it being connected to I'll Listen as well, the charity for children, the prevention of mental health in younger generations, coming away from screens, getting out and about and doing something very, very different. It might be a bit old-fashioned or traditional, but it really, really was a good evening. There was young and old there and many, many in attendance. So obviously, a concert like that is something that draws the people. And it was funny with Alan Gellin as the compere for the evening with his funny jokes, a variety of things, musical instruments, spoken word, but just having a bit of fun, old-fashioned fun.
Yes, that's the way to go, isn't it?
Isn't it?
You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kirree Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, Milntown Estate is somewhere where we've grown to love over the years, and it's won a prestigious award which has been awarded by the Royal Horticultural Society. To tell me more about it, I caught up with Adam Quayle, who's the Facilities and Garden Manager at Milntown. First of all, I congratulated him, but after that, I asked him what it meant for Milntown.
So we're now a Royal Horticultural Society partner garden. And what you have to do is you have to apply for that, and they'll only accept a few throughout the British Isles. You just have to go through a criteria, and we obviously met that.
Yeah, I've looked at the criteria sheet that you had to do, and there's a fair things on it, but the facilities here at Milntown seem to pass all of them, so tick all the boxes with flying colours.
Yeah, one of the criteria is that it's preferable to have a cafe or a restaurant on site. You have to have above several acres. It's 2 acres.
And what have you got here?
16 acres we have.
Right.
And you have to show high horticultural standards, and that's design, maintenance, all of which we're doing, and we've got a development plan that will see us, designing and developing for the next 10 years.
When you look at it, though, you've got 16 acres here, not a great amount of staff, I wouldn't think, but somebody can have 2 acres. Must be a lot easier to keep that managed than 16.
It certainly is, yeah, but we're concentrating our efforts on creating formal areas that are labour intensive, and then less formal areas where we don't have to look after them so much, but they're better for wildlife, perhaps.
Yeah, but you've got such a variety in the Milntown Garden, haven't you?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we're lucky that we have a microclimate on the Isle of Man, and particularly Milntown. We've got the shelter of the hills, so we can grow some unusual plants that you might not necessarily be able to grow across the rest of the UK. In fact, you'd only be able to grow them in, say, the Scilly Isles or Cornwall.
Really?
Yeah, that what we can grow here. And that might sound unusual, but that is because of the mild winters. We don't suffer the harsh winters that they do, on the mainland, so to speak. So, and the wind as well. The wind, obviously, being on the Gulf Stream and the wind here, it keeps the temperatures down as well.
Yeah, and I suppose even during the dry spells in the summer, you've got the hill, Skye Hill and all just around about you. I suppose it creates a bit of moisture as well.
Yeah, it does. And we have the river here, which feeds our mill pond, which also moves the mill wheel. But that all our water systems are fed from that. So we have rainwater throughout even the hottest periods. So it's not coming off the mains; it's coming up from the river. So it's actual rainwater.
Yeah. You can't get more natural than that, though,
no,
can you?
No, you can't, no.
But when you look around and walk around the gardens, it is a lovely setting. There's the walls, there's lovely cut grass areas, the paths through, all different types of shrubs and bushes. And every area you go in, there's something a little bit different, which I suppose catches the eye as well of the people judging these.
Yeah, it does. We're creating compartments where, at the moment, where we're stood is the walled garden, and it's a contemporary sort of take on a cottage garden. And then behind us we have a jungle walk, which is more unusual plantings, and then the woodlands beyond, and we're creating these compartments so they all have different interests, and depending on what your likes are, then there's something for everyone, really.
And what's the most difficult challenge about a place like this?
I would say when we're developing, it's very difficult to get the balance right that you maintain at the same time, because every time you develop an area, consequently you have to maintain it for the years to come. So that, we don't have a huge amount of labour, and we have to be, consider that year on year.
Yeah. But when you look at the flower shows and all that, go on the telly and see some of the gardens that are all just rife with different coloured flowers all in beds, you don't really want to go that way here, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I mean, we do have formal areas, and our goal here is to create somewhere of horticultural significance, but at the same time it's good for wildlife. We work to organic principles here, and that means that we're not using chemicals on the ground, and we're trying to balance that we have areas of interest, but it is good for wildlife as well.
Yeah, which is good news for everybody. But the Royal Horticultural Society partnership, what will it do for Milntown?
It'll do a lot. I mean, the RHS is the sort of pinnacle of horticulture, so to have an accolade that we're associated with them is fantastic, but we will get the marketing that goes with it. It'll go in all their magazines, any of their press releases, and it'll also hopefully bring people to the island, because when you're a member of the RHS, you want to go through and visit these gardens that are partner gardens. So it's a great thing for people on the island, but it's also hopefully bring people over, in terms of tourists as well.
Yeah, because it's one thing, you do see a lot of enthusiasts travelling to different places to go to these shows and look around the gardens, but it's unique to the Isle of Man, though, isn't it? You're the first.
We are the first, yes, we are, and no, very proud of that. And it's not just the garden team who put in all the effort to get this place what it is. We're all committed, and we all put a lot of hard work in. It is a private charity, and without the volunteers and the office staff and the trust who ultimately hold the purse strings and allow us to do this, then it's all of us involved, and we're all committed to it.
When you look at pictures from 10 years ago of this garden, since you opened it to the public, and look at it now, you must be very proud of what's been done then.
No, I am very proud. The significant changes have happened, but we still have to be sympathetic to the history, and also not do things too quickly, because again, there's a cash flow that it's done year on year, and that is to make sure that we're not opening places up, because all of this has an impact on the garden when you do too much at one point in time.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to you and your team anyway. I'm sure it'll do wonders for the attraction of more people here to the Isle of Man to see the gardens.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Adam Quayle, the Facilities and Garden Manager at the Milntown Estate. What a wonderful award that is. The only one on the Isle of Man to receive the Royal Horticultural Society's Partnership Award, to be asked into that prestigious gang, really, isn't it? So,
it really is a huge achievement, and for such a bunch of young gardeners as well, keen on horticulture. And to see those gardens evolve over the last handful of years, it is a place that myself and my family love to go to, a bit of downtime, Easter or whatever. And you have seen the changes. It is stunning, absolutely stunning, and so worthy of that award, Simon.
Yes, well done to them. Okay, we're out of time on this week's Countryside. Countryside@manxradio.com is the email address if you've got something for us, or leave a message for Kirree Kermode or Simon Clark here at Manx Radio. But that's it. We'll be back next week with more. So from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kirree Kermode.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.